Hello, this is my cat Muffy, who is going to help me teach thirds chords involving the note that's the fifth chord factor or the third chord factor or the root. The root is the note that's on the bottom, and you build the chord on top of that. So for example, number 8, the root is the note on the bottom, so you would draw a note in the space above that and a note in the space above that note. And from the root to the third is a third, and from the root to the fifth is a fifth. Another one that has a root is number 12. So I'm just going to take out all these flats. That's a G. G is the root of a chord that would go G to B to D. G to B is the interval of a third, and G to D is the interval of a fifth. Now let's look for a couple that are thirds. She's going to try to move the camera. This is the third above the root. No, Muffy, don't do that. Okay, you're okay. And D would be the root then, because you have to go down a third to get the root. And then you need the note above the root, above the third, which is the fifth. So here is D is the root, F sharp is the third, and A is the fifth. Another one that has the third as the starting note, I'm going to take out all these sharps, and you can do that too. So this is the note in the middle. So you put the note below it, a third below it, and a third above it. And then you got the root, the third, and the fifth. And then the last two that I'm going to show you, this note is the fifth chord factor. So you need the root, which would be down a fifth, and the third, which would be either down a third from the fifth or up a third from the root. And then here is we're just going to take out the majors. I don't want to deal with these sharps and flats. So here is the top note, the fifth chord factor. So you just add a third below it and a third below that, and then you've got a triad with a root, a third, and a fifth. So just do the best you can. The easiest ones would be the root, because anything with the root, then you just go up a third and up a third, or up a third from the root and up a fifth from the third. The other ones could be a little bit confusing still, but hopefully that helps. Then we're just going to do the sonatina sheet because that's a couple pages. And this is going to be a little harder for people who maybe don't read music too well, but it's a very popular musical form, and anyone who takes piano lessons long enough is going to play a sonatina. It's a 3-part form. There's a opening section, a middle section, and an ending section. And the opening section and the ending section are very much the same. And the middle section is kind of noodling around on the musical ideas presented in the opening section. So this section right here is the exposition. And that was the first theme. And you'll see that these accidental sharps are popping up here toward the end. And that's because we're modulating to the dominant. So if this is in C major, the note a fifth above C, C, D, E, F, G is the dominant, and that's where we're going to go, usually, to get to the end of the exposition. So now they put in these F sharps to get you into a G major. Exposition ends in G major. Then you have, in a sonatina, you have a very small development, and you kind of noodle around through different keys. back to the first theme, and they call this the recapitulation because it reviews the themes. And here's the first theme in C major. And here's the second theme, but it doesn't modulate to G major. It stays in the tonic of C major. So let me just go through and show you the chords. The Roman numeral 1 is the tonic chord, C major, and we have that here and here. Now in this measure, most of the notes are from a G major 5-finger pattern, a G major chord. So we'll say that's the Roman numeral 5 for dominant, and then we're back to C here. But now we're getting a little interesting. There's a C, E, G, that's a 1 chord, but here you've got the beginning of an F sharp. And it kind of outlines F sharp, A, C, E. The A isn't there, but the rest of it is the 7th chord, built on the 7th note of the G scale. So that's the 7 of 5. And then we've got GBD, there's the 5 there. And then, it's hard to know what that is. And here's GBD again, which is the 5 chord. And then this is the 5 of 5. And AC could be a 2 chord. Not sure. Maybe it's a 2 chord. In G major. So all of this is something of 5. And then we get to 5. And voila, we're actually in G major here. So D, F sharp, A is a 5 chord of G major, and here's the 1 chord. And then I think that's a 5-7. There's a D and an A and a C. So that's a type of 5-7 chord in G major. And then here's a type of 1 chord. This is interesting. I think that is a 7 chord. And there's a 5 chord and a 1 chord. So ba-da-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum bum ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum ba-da-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da ba-dum bum bum ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then it goes to in C minor. That's a 5-7 in C minor. That's a minor 1. Oops. And there's a 5 in C minor and a 1 in C minor and 5 in C minor. And then more 5 in C minor. That's the whole 5-7 chord being outlined right there. And there's the 1 chord being outlined. And da-da-da-da-da. That's the 5 going back to C major. So that's a bit of a 5 sort of a thing, and it's a kind of a like overlapping into each other, 5 and 1, and then back to C major 1, 1. Just look at the bass. C, G, C, C, G, mostly G, C, 5, 7, G, B, D, was there an F? G, B, D, just a 5, and 1 again, G, B, D, F, 5, 7, 1, there's a 4 chord, nice little break, 4, 5, and 1. And you can kind of check by playing the chords. That's a 1-6-4. I blew that one. 1-6-4. It's a type of cadential pattern. 5. 1-6-4 5. So if they take the 1 chord C E G and turn it upside down a couple times, you get G C E, which is very close to G B D. She likes to take that particular pencil case and destroy it. I'll be right back. Muffy. Don't take that pencil case. No, I like that one. You're silly. So that's probably Greek to a lot of you, but some of you might get it. And at least now you know there is such a thing as sonata form. And it was people really understood how it was supposed to go and what it was supposed to sound like. And now we're going after a scarf. Muffy, come over here. Talk to the nice people. Come here, Muffy. So let me play this one more time, just so you can have a feel for how this form works. And if you go to a classical music concert of a pianist, you're going to probably hear sonata form. Distracting having you can't destroy your room while you're playing the piano. To be remembering is that you've got the exposition, the development, the recapitulation, and the exposition will start in the tonic, go to the dominant, unless it's in minor, we'll deal with that later. And then the development will be in perhaps a closely related key, and then in the recapitulation, it'll start in the tonic and stay in the tonic. So that's more of an introduction and an explanation of something than it is, real homework for you. But see if you can, how much of it you can follow along with.